My fidget spinner now, boys.
Why did I do this?
This is why I'm not gonna like today, because people are gonna send me things that shouldn't have LnD. Please show me some good LnD builds. You ready, guys? Ready to troll your teacher? Here we go. Pretty sure this is LnD cancel affinity bowling, right? There it is. This is about as meta as you get, guys. So if you don't know how this works, basically she attacks anything without retaliation because of Fire Sweep Bow. Cancel affinity lets her destroy all the Raven users that usually would be able to tank her. And since nothing can retaliate, you can safely put life and death here. And there's no repercussions of doing so. Now ideally you do run the speed 3 seal or the attack 3 seal. I do see a little bit of a problem with this build though, and that's running Moonbow. So if you're gonna run Moonbow, you gotta run Quick Impulse. Otherwise you should be running either Draconic Aura or Luna. My recommendation is probably gonna be Draconic Aura. If you're using Fire Sweep Bow, then obviously you're attacking twice, and Moonbow, it's gonna be on every second fight, just like Draconic Aura would. Yeah, Quick Impulse ideally. It looks like you already have Draconic Aura. That's what you should switch for, unless you have Quick Impulse here. So you can work it with Moonbow and then you'll get it on your first engagement. Heavy Blade wouldn't be bad either, but you might need a little bit more attack to make sure that Heavy Blade has consistency. That'd be through Gold Cavalry and Hone Cavalry. Thanks, Argus. Let's look at something more unconventional. What the heck is this? How do you even reach such speeds on like the slowest unit in the game? Serratu says that's my plus speed, Sophia. I guess if you got speed refinement on Fenrir, life and death 3, and Hone speed, you could reach like 36 speed. Okay, fine. Swordbreaker to counter the super fast swordies. I'm trying to give this Sophia a chance. Maybe it's pretty good because you keep some bulk and avoid some doubles and still have a decent attack stat. I'll take it, Serratu. Good job. Soleil? Yeah, this is pretty standard. Good build overall. Heavy Blade and Glimmer are good choices. With 62 attack, you pretty much always charge Glimmer on the first combat. So you charge it, then you hit. It's pretty good. Life and Death is great with Fire Sweep weapons because you don't care about the retaliation. Swordbreaker is fine here as well. I mean, it's not the worst thing. The only ones that are reaching higher speeds than this is like the super fast swordies. There's a couple other ones that have really fast speed, but in general, you consistently fight the sword units with that. An alternative B slot though I'd recommend is going to be Dragback or Hidden Run. Some picks on us. My Sola has Hidden Run currently. Should I swap it out for Swordbreaker? No, not necessarily. I mean, both have pros and cons. Using Swordbreaker limits your mobility a little bit and leaves your unit susceptible to like danger, but Dragback and Hidden Run has also some good advantages that keeps you out of danger. So I think both are good. Akariss says plus speed or plus attack for Soleil. If you're going to use Fire Sweep Sword, then I recommend plus speed. But if you use a lot of the other builds, plus attack isn't bad. For like Armor Slayer, for instance, Armor Smasher, plus attack's a good option. Or like Brave Sword wants to use plus attack. Overall, I'd say that's a pretty standard Soleil. Thanks for showing me that. Interestingly effective, actually. I do like it, actually. Shield Pulse and Miracle here is pretty good. You end up like having Miracle ready fairly early on in your fight cycle, and you're pretty much never going to get doubled by anything. 50 attack is enough to one-shot a lot of armors, especially with a Hone attack buff, like 75 effective damage, but even more against the green armors, which you should one-shot with him. It's enough attack to one-shot all the green armors, from what I can see. Life and Death is better than Fury here, actually, because Fury will bring you into Miracle 1 HP range, while Life and Death doesn't. This is really creative. I like it. It's a good use of Life and Death. JSF says, does Minerva count as unconventional because she comes with it but doesn't use LnD that well? I think Minerva's a fine user of LnD, actually. It's not like her best choice, but I don't think it's that bad. Spite, aka Joe, says, ideally it'll be replaced with Brazen attack speed. Yeah, that probably would be a lot better too. You can keep his bulk. Gain the benefits of Life and Death pretty early, other than the first fight. I like it. Everybody easy clap for this. Easy clap. Could you at least have finished the build, Joe? Come on. What the heck is this? Go farm some SP. What, why? Okay, I saw that you said it was work in progress, Joe. Doesn't he want to receive hone speed, I guess? 44 speed, 45 speed? I guess he doesn't need hone speed, actually. Maybe he wants hone attack rather than hone speed. Okay, I'll take it. I mean, he's not going to really receive retaliation that often, to be honest, because he's using wind sweep with phantom speed. Usually most units you fight, you're just gonna double and kill them anyways with falchion. This doesn't give you as much damage as death blow though. I guess the difference though is that you're probably gonna miss a lot of wind sweeps if you don't use life and death here. That's why Swiss Sparrow might be a good option as well. Overall though, I'll take it. It's not that bad. Once you complete the build, of course. I think most cases you fight and kill. Yeah, you know what? I think this is fine. These Banana says she's also summoner support. This is pretty cool. Life and Death is pretty good with Fire Sweep and Cancel Affinity, as you know. Do you have her on a team with Infantry Pulse? Or maybe Attack Tactic or something? Ideally she's receiving Hone Speed as a buff, because she might not double everything with 42 speed. Dry Defense is good in the C slot. Gives defense to units that aren't her. JSF says her defense is Soleil, Cancel Affinity doesn't even matter. Cancel Affinity works against Raven Tomes, which is actually on the res. But the Raven Tomes don't even counterattack against Fire Sweep bow. Quickson says, what's a good bow that's not Fire Sweep because I don't have it? Brave bow is pretty good, obviously, for most offensive archers. If you're looking for defensive bows, then I would use Slaying Bow or Guard Bow, depending on the archer. I like this Rebecca, actually. I don't think she's the best user of this build. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think she's the worst user of it either. Just based on waifu reasons alone, I would just give it an easy clap and say, yeah, it's pretty good. Yeah, I like it. Thanks for showing me that. Tana's a good user of Fire Sweep Lance. On par with Cordelia, but the problem is Tana's not easy to merge up, so I like this a lot. Her attack stat reaches really high values here with Fire Sweep Lance, Life and Death, and Heavy Blade should be pretty consistently working here. I'm gonna guess that she's not on a flyer team because I see attack smoke. But yeah, it's a good build. Definitely a good build. I think this is pretty much perfect. Attack smoke isn't bad either. Helps your tanky unit survive. Crunch Shinru says I run her mix most of the time. Makes sense. So I'm guessing you have like attack tactic on the team, and that makes this even more disgusting. I like it. I like this build a lot. We'll give it a solid, easy clap. Thanks guys, you guys aren't actually trolling me tonight. Showing me real users of LnD builds. I like pretty much consider it perfect. I mean, there's nothing really bad about it. Thanks, Cron Dragon. Oh, we do have another Tana to compare it to. It's pretty similar actually, but instead of Moonbow, you're running Gale Force. I'm not a big fan of Gale Force unless you have Heavy Blade in the A slot and Quick Impulse in the Seal slot, because then you don't get turn 1 Gale Forces that way. And remember, they can't counterattack you, so you're not getting turn 1 Gale Forces. Your Gale Force ends up being on turn 2, which is actually the same effect as just using Quick Impulse in the Seal slot and giving Heavy Blade to another user that could utilize it better. I mean, in most fights, you're not going to get more than 1 Gale Force off, which is why using Quick Impulse in the Seal is a little bit better than Heavy Blade, so that someone else on your team could use Heavy Blade instead. Everything else is perfectly fine as it is. It was just like the other Tana we just saw. But yeah, since Gale Force isn't 4 here, just Quick Impulse, bringing it to 4 has the same result as using Heavy Blade here. Well, she may also need Hone Speed on the team to make sure she gets that double off. JSF says Vidoffer, in my opinion, isn't that good of a preference weapon, but Tanner is already good. No, Vidoffer is actually amazing if you have close defense. She ends up with like plus 13 defense on enemy phase. It's actually really disgusting. And if you give her like Bonfire, that's like 6 bonus damage, which is incredible for her. You have Water Blessing, so you're probably getting a little bit extra speed here, but definitely changes to Quick Impulse. Give Heavy Blade to another user. You're not getting Gale Forces that often. Like, it happens every second engagement, but you'd have to go into like 4 fights which is usually how many enemies are on the enemy team anyways. So just use Quick Impulse, so you can rely on 1 Gale Force per fight. It's my only recommendation there. Okay, this guy has a lot of HP. His defense and res are obviously really low, but his speed is so high that he doesn't get doubled. And his HP is incredibly high. So LnD Desperation should work here. Yeah, I like it. His attack stat is just good enough to probably proc Heavy Blade consistently enough. If you fight, you probably end up charging Aether every second fight, I think. So it's not too bad. You can kind of play within LnD and Desperation range. If you're in Desperation range, then you basically just charge Aether for every second fight. So that's kind of cool. I'm pretty happy with this build as well. Good use of the HP speed. The HP and the high HP and high speed means that even with low defensive stats, you're likely to take 1 hit and not die. Obviously, if he got doubled, that'd be a problem, but I don't think he gets doubled at this speed stat. And obviously, Infantry Pulse works well because his HP stat's so high. So yeah, another easy clap, and I'm still not getting trolled tonight. Good job, guys. Good builds tonight. Yep, overall, like, really good usage of everything here. For the only units that outspeed Bridal Cordelia, you have Swordbreaker. Heavy Blade, Moonball, as expected, are really strong. There's no Cancel Affinity, but I mean, Cancel Affinity is so niche that you probably could deal with other users. Drive res for your other tanky units. I mean, yeah, it's a solid build overall. I'm not really... There's nothing really I'd recommend. I mean, Cancel Affinity is what you usually see in the Beast Law, but it's not as needed as most people think it is. It's just, if you run into a Raven user, I mean, they usually have TA, and as long as you're running Rainbow, whoever your counter color is tends to just counter that user, right? So it's not really a big deal. Thanks, Chelsea. Alright, Siracle. The moment we've all been waiting for, huh? Gordy Cookie, that's not a bad IV for Valentine Lynn if you give her Blaral and a bunch of ward armors. Maybe with a goat armor in there too. As for the Arthur, it's not too bad. I mean, same kind of principle here as the Legion we just saw. Since his HP stat is so high and his bulk is already fairly high, using Life and Death isn't necessarily a bad thing because it doesn't really hurt him that much. And bumping up his stats, his offensive stats, this much helps him avoid more doubles, do more doubles, and do more damage. So I'm not totally displeased with this. It also kind of helps him get into Wrath range by lowering his bulk. So when he does take a retaliation hit, you can end up in Wrath. Speed Seal is smart here too. I'm guessing Double Rally is just for arena points. Obviously, you probably want to use a movement skill like Reposition or Swap. So yeah, I'm happy with this too. I mean, so far I'm not getting trolled too much. Well done, Circle. If you're using the new Elwood, you probably want to use Refinement with Defense for Bonfire. The stats are equal. You just give Bonfire Iceberg based on what stat is higher. So a lot of LnD Celicas. I've seen this a lot. The LnD Renewal build with Celica. This one's not too bad because her bulk after +9 merges ends up being like 63 health or 63 res, which is not too bad. One thing that I always tell people though is Fury isn't too bad on the A slot here. And LnD tends to be a little bit overkill. I mean, trading 2 attack and 2 speed for 8 defense and 8 resistance is kind of not too bad. And a lot of people say, oh, but if I use Fury, then that's 11 damage taken and you can't heal back Renewal. But the problem is, like, I don't see you one-shotting anything that's like red. Like 60 attack isn't enough to one-shot Ryoma and Ike that are using, obviously, like new Ike. At this merge level, you're not one-shotting them. So they're going to hit you back. So why not just have the bulk to take the hit anyways, right? And then this will expand your matchups against blue units. Because as soon as you run Life and Death, you're kind of just, like, basically you're throwing away your blue matchups. So I don't really, like, agree with LnD on Celica in most cases. even in this case. I guess it helps to boost your damage on Blazing Light though. Joe says, what about chain challenges or Tempest Trials? If you're auto battling, then it's not too good. Obviously Fury is preferred over that. You're gonna just die. But even then, I guess LnD is not too bad if you're gonna use it in Tempest Trials and Chain Challenge. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a big fan of LnD Celica, guys. You just like lose on your... You don't need the help on the green matchups. It doesn't influence your red matchups that much. And your green matchups, again, don't really get influenced by running LnD over Fury. So I don't see where this helps you. But I guess it works with Blazing Light for bonus damage, extra 2 bonus damage there. You end up with an extra 3 attack on Blazing Light. Blazing Light's such an awkward special though. Whatever. I mean, it's ready on turn 2. If you attack, they retaliate, you attack again. So give it points for creativity with the special. Life and Death, the Blazing Light. That's what I give it points for sure. Let's compare it to another Celica. We got Nephany is greater than Mia. With this build, it's kind of my same idea here, but again, I don't really agree with Life and Death Renewal here because you're just not really helping the red matchups that much. You're not. In fact, LnD 2 just doesn't really do much for you because it's only 1 attack, 1 speed over Fury 3, but lose out on like 4 defense. You're not one-shotting things at 55 attack unless it's a green. But Fury would still accomplish the same thing. 64, probably 60, 66 attack or so. Yeah, I'm not a fan of LnD on Celica, guys. It seems to just kill our matchups, if anything. And there's some cases where you actually just die 1-hit KO to red distant counter users. Because like this bulk is pretty pathetic. It's 57 health. A sword user can reach 57 attack. I mean, plus attack, like, usually with enough merges is gonna one-shot. This is fine, though. I think this is fine. I think this is pretty creative, actually, and that's why I wasn't totally against this. So, like, what I'm saying is you should have Blazing Light ready for the second fight, and that's pretty cool. Shouldn't she be avoiding blues? I mean, it's not always that easy, right? If a unit has flexibility, that makes it better than just one straight, like a one path kind of unit, one straight path. Like a super niche unit is not always reliable. You want your team comp to have some flexibility. Like if you can bait out a blue mage, for instance, that makes your red Celica so much better. Because if you have greens that are also baiting out blue mages, which can happen, again, it depends on the team comp, but let's say you're using like Brave Ike, right, with Celica, which is a fine difference in team comp. Using Brave Ike with Celica is good, but Brave Ike's not going to be handling blue mages that well. He needs to like player phase a blue mage to kill it. But if you had your Celica with Fury, you could probably bait out the blue mage, and then enemy phase, they hit you, and then you kill it on player phase with Celica. But if you're running LnD, you actually just give up that matchup completely. For example, like Delthea, right? Delthea with Death Blow ends up having about 60 attack, I guess. So I'm not sure how much. Is it 60 after Death Blow? 72 attack, I see, or something like that. Yeah, okay, so let's just use that as an example then, right? This is 63 bulk, and you move up to 71 res with Fury 3. If you had 1 Fortify res buff on the team, or if you just ended up using, yeah, if you just had like 1 Fortify res buff on the team, which is not unreasonable to assume, or drive res, then Celica would be able to bait out Delthea. But by running LnD, you can't do that. And Bravike doesn't really want to bait out Delthea either. 60 attack with Hone attack. Okay, so I'm a little short on that, but I assume the Delthea has some merges, which is why it was about 60 attack. But I'm just using that as an example. Nestat said he's tried to say he's used that Celica on a team with 3 infantry pulse, 3 units out of the special ready on turn 1. That's pretty cool. That's creative. Then LnD is cool because you just probably one-shot something. Okay, I see that working. I knew Celica was going to be a controversial unit of LnD, to be honest. I think there's a lot of cons to LnD on Celica than there are more pros, right? And that's what the balance comes down to. Anyways, let's look at a more unconventional LnD user. I hope you guys can actually understand what I'm saying and not just listen to what most people think with LnD on Celica being objectively better. It can work in some situations, but overall, if you're making a team comp that doesn't cover blue mages well, you should consider definitely using Fury. And in some matches, you're just gonna die one hit to a distant counter sword user. This is gonna be unconventional, but I think it's pretty good. I feel like people don't know enough to know why this is good. So let's look at it and explain it properly. Yeah, let's talk about why this is pretty good. So the reason that this works is a couple of reasons. First of all, her bulk is already really good, and her having such good bulk means that Ice Mirror actually reduces less damage. But the way Ice Mirror works is the more damage it reduces, the more damage you retaliate with. And that means if you take more damage through Ice Mirror, you retaliate for more damage. And that's why LnD is good. By reducing your bulk, you're actually just hitting harder. Also, her speed is not that good. Her attack stat is not that good. So by lowering her defensive stats, you soak more damage through Ice Mirror and then retaliate with way more damage through it. I had a situation where I think it was like a fully buffed Gromblade Nino hit my Fjorm and then Ice Mirror soak like 20 or 30 damage or something, and she just destroyed Nino. It was like the glory moment for Fjorm. So I actually think that this is a good choice on the A slot. What seal would be ideal in this build? I actually think QR3 is the best seal to give Fjorm. Even with this high-ish speed, I still think that QR3 is the most ideal way to do this. Yeah, QR3 is the way to do this, guys. Definitely. You still want to make sure you secure those kills. And at this speed level, you're actually avoiding more doubles, which is ideal here. So definitely think this is golden. And I wanted to make sure that I spread the word on why I think this is actually good on Fjorm. LnD3 is actually good on Fjorm, guys. Thanks, Chronox, for showcasing that. I'm glad somebody sent me in a life and death Fjorm. Try to use QR seal, even with her low defense. I'm not saying close defense is a bad choice, Chronox. I just think that QR is a more consistent choice. Okay, so yeah, Hannah's kind of like Soleil, but at least you can get much more merges on Soleil than you could out of... sorry, you can get much more merges out of Hannah than you could out of Soleil. Their stat lines are quite similar. Soleil, I think, kind of wins out, though, in most cases. I mean, you're gonna get... this is much easier to make than a Soleil, right? You can find the right IVs off of a 3-star Hannah. Way easier than rolling for 4-star Soleils. I mean, I'm gonna struggle to probably get 2 more copies of Chrom, so I know how that feels if you try to build up a Soleil. Arena score-wise, though, Soleil is definitely the better choice. I don't like Moonbow here, though. This is saying Iden, right? Yeah, Iden. You want to change out Moonbow. Yeah, you might be better off running Heavy Blade. Yeah, I agree with your thoughts here. The 51 speed is crazy high. You don't 48 is still good enough in most cases. So Heavy Blade to get your Moonbow procs off more consistently are going to be good. But Life and Death obviously works with Fire Sweep Sword, and we've kind of seen that already plenty of times tonight. Drive Res is fine. Good usage of everything here. But yeah, you definitely either need to change Moonbow to like Draconic Aura or Speed 3 to Heavy Blade. One thing though, I don't think Wind Blessing is going to help her much. You probably want to run either... I think you'll probably want to run Earth Blessing for the extra attack. Put her on like an Earth team, probably. She's going to be a good user of that. Thanks for showing this to me though, Iden. It's good stuff. And I'd recommend people follow suit on that. If you want to build a super powerhouse player phased Hannah, that is definitely how you do it. Alright, fine. Let's look at 0 times 4. I mean, how do you actually get in desperation range? Duel, how do you get in desperation range, man? Ting, 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 ting. I don't think it's ting, 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 but I think the better question here is, how do you 52 attack and 56, like 52 HP physical and 56 res? You definitely need a fortify cavalry. Dual Twin says, I wanted to put Wind Sweep. Okay, if you're gonna put Wind Sweep, then you need Phantom Speed. Attack Fjorm to get into desperation. That's pretty good. I don't think it's ting ting ting. I mean, Fury I think is going to be a little bit better here. That's my only suggestion. I mean, if you use Wind Sweep then with Phantom Speed, I think it's a fine build. Otherwise, but you probably need like plus speed as well. Thanks, Duel. Is there another Omen to compare it to? Oh, Sir Kibby Kibble. Except you're using Blarblade instead of Dire Thunder here, so you actually have speed to make Desperation work, especially if you get Hone Cavalry. I don't know if I'm a fan. Like, again, you don't really have much bulk here to survive a hit to get into Desperation range. I think Fury is still going to be better here. I don't think you need, like, all you're gonna do is stalemate with Ira and stuff, but I think you'd one-shot Ira and Zelgius with buffs. With Blarblade, you should be one-shotting Ira and Zelgius probably. Like full horse buffs, Hone and Fort Cavalry. The seal that I'd recommend is probably going to be either attack 3 seal or speed 3 seal. I think Ryan would be better here. Kappa. It's just Fury 2 debated. Oh, so you just sent me the Life and Death 2 just to be part of it. I think you know what's better here. There's no bulk to get into Desperation Rage that easily. Thanks for sending it though. Fury Desperation's fine though. I'm okay with that. This is my 0x4 sister. Omega lol. Okay, it's okay, but you do need to just change Moonbow out. I mean, Luna in the special slot. Ideally, you give her Brave Bow plus, amp it up to Life and Death 3, and I guess you're just gonna ting 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 a couple of times. I think Luna's all you can do here. Once you get up to merge plus 10, you'll be having hopefully enough attack to actually do 1x4, maybe. I don't think you need Desperation. Okay, well maybe Desperation Brown Assault kind of works. You don't take a retaliation hit. You can get in with Reciprocal Aid into that range, so it kind of works. This is not Shadows of Valencia. You don't get 1x4. Feels bad, man.